Hey, everybody, welcome back to my channel and to the Beginner to Pro Worship Singer series. My name is Rachel Steele. Today, we're going to talk about something that can completely change your confidence on stage. We're talking about in-ear monitors. If you've ever gotten on stage and suddenly thought, why in the world can I not sing today? This episode might actually change a lot for you because sometimes the issue is not your voice. Sometimes the issue is what you're hearing. I've actually heard phenomenal singers sound rough because their monitor mix was just really bad. They were having pitch problems and timing problems, and you could tell that they were over straining and over singing, all because they were struggling to hear. So, a lot of times it's not a talent issue, it's a monitor issue. And understanding in ear monitors can completely change how you lead worship. So, first of all, what are in ear monitors? In-ear monitors are basically personal monitor mixes. Instead of a giant floor wedge blasting sound at you from the front of the stage, the sound is sent directly into your ears through what looks like headphones so that you can hear exactly what you need to hear and how you need to hear it. And that can include your vocal and a lead vocal, some instruments, click and cues if you're using tracks, and sometimes an ambient room mic or something like that that might help you stay and feel connected. The other thing that's really cool is every person on stage can have their own custom mix, which is absolutely amazing when it's dialed in correctly. But the first time that you wear your in-ear monitors, it is going to sound and feel super strange because suddenly you're hearing every breath, every crack in your voice, every mistake, every mouth noise, and you hear yourself in your head way closer than you're normally used to hearing it, which can make you feel very exposed. That's normal. And I promise you will get used to it if you keep doing it. Your in ears affect your confidence way more than you realize. If you can't hear correctly, your body will start compensating, and you might push too hard, which can lead to being sharp or flat. You can start to strain. You will lose your confidence when you hear yourself start to sing badly. You start panicking internally, and that leads to questioning yourself and making mistakes. And then all of a sudden, you're thinking, why can't I sing today? No, you probably just can't hear today. A good monitor mix helps you to relax, and that's huge because relaxed singers usually sing way better. So, what do you need in your monitor mix? One of the biggest beginner mistakes is asking for everything. Trust me, you do not need everything. You don't need every instrument blasting in your ears. Usually, for worship singers, your priorities are layered something like this. You have your vocal, the lead vocal, you have click and cues, a little bit of the rhythm section, and then everything else. I like the bass turned up a little higher than most people probably do. And you just need enough information to stay connected to the team without overwhelming yourself. So, a lot of singers, you will hear them ask for more me, not me, but me, because they feel like they can't hear. But if your vocal is way louder than everything else, it can actually mess with your pitch and you won't be able to blend. So, you still need to be able to hear the band around you. So, the best thing to do is actually to try to turn everything else down instead of turning yourself up. That will help a tremendous amount. So it's counterintuitive, but remember, turn everything else down before you turn yourself up. Also, there are different ways of adjusting your monitors. You might have a guy that's solely dedicated to monitor mixes. You might only have one sound engineer. Some churches have little personal mixers. My church actually has an app that connects to the console on my phone, so I can just change my mix to my heart's content. And that is my favorite for that reason, because you can change your mix as much as you want and you don't have to bother anybody else right in the palm of your hand. Let's also talk about having your own in-ear monitors. I think this is really important. First of all, sharing earbuds with an entire worship team is just kind of gross. So if for some odd reason you have to do that, please make sure you buy some alcohol wipes to clean the tips off. But beyond that, having your own in-ears helps with consistency in sound. It helps with comfort. It helps with the fit. The generic ones have different tips that you can try. And when your in-ears fit correctly, your mix usually sounds better immediately because outside stage noise is totally reduced. You know that your ears are not fitting, if you are constantly breaking the seal, if they are slipping out while you're singing, you're going to be fighting with your in-ear mix all night long if they don't fit correctly. Before I got my custom molds, I lost the low end every time I smiled. I love to sing, I smile a lot, and that was absolutely annoying. Eventually, if you can, move into custom molded in-ears if possible. Um, these molds are specific to your ears. They fit like a glove. And I don't know if it's any different now than when I had it done 15 years ago, but I went to an audiologist. They squirted some stuff in my ear hole and then they gave me the mold. I sent that to Shure, and Shure sent me back custom in-ear monitors that I don't have to show you right now. But they're custom molds, so they look exactly like the inside of my ears. So it blocks out the noise way better. It improves the clarity. It stays secure in my ear while I'm singing. It doesn't move around. And it reduces ear fatigue because the sound is weighed down. Now, the opposite is true of that also. If you don't keep the sound down, you're going to increase your ear fatigue because it's right next to your eardrum. But in-ear molds create a more custom listening experience, especially for singers who serve every week. It might really be worthwhile to make that investment to custom in-ear molds. It was really expensive when I did it 15 years ago, but I'm sure the cost has gone down. I'm actually not sure about that. If somebody knows what the cost is, add that to the comment section. But don't panic and think that to get started, you're going to need to spend $1,000 in gear. There are actually some really solid, affordable, generic in-ear options now. And I've found some surprisingly great brands on Amazon. I'll actually link it in the description box. I don't know off the top of my head what brand it is, but I have a pair of those as a backup in case I have an issue. But don't think that you need to have top of the line gear. The goal here is to just hear clearly, serve confidently, and you can do that on a budget. One thing I really want new singers to understand is do not be afraid to ask for changes in your mix. I'm serious. This is extremely important, and a good sound engineer wants to help you. Most sound people would be really happy to meet you before or after rehearsal to help you dial in your mix. And honestly, sometimes your mix is going to need changes week to week. So just ask for what you need. I'm lucky enough to be married to my own sound guy. And I cannot tell you how many times over the past 15 years we've had to adjust my mix again and again. Different room, different musicians, different songs, different needs. It's normal. Advocate for yourself. You're not being high maintenance for needing an adjustment in your in-ear monitors. And I have actually had to pull the Diva card and refuse to stop until I had what I needed. There was a point in time when I was singing somewhere 4 nights a week. I had gone through vocal rehab from overuse for not caring for my voice, and my livelihood is my voice. So I will do what it takes to start a show or to start worship from a very comfortable place. So don't be afraid to advocate for yourself. Even if you think that you're taking too much time, you still advocate for yourself. For new singers, sometimes the hardest part of getting your mix right is not knowing how to explain what you're hearing. So let's talk about some of the common monitor language. You might hear somebody say that they want a wet mix. A wet mix is more reverb, it has more effects in it. It can feel bigger and smoother and more polished. My mix is very wet. I can easily sing these big notes and I can just let the mix do the work. But too wet, and suddenly you're going to sound like you're singing in a cave. So you'll have to learn how you like to hear your voice. A dry mix is very little reverb, very little effects, very clear, very detailed. My backup singer likes an extremely dry mix. I've picked up her pack on accident and then been completely shocked at how dry it was. I could never ever sing that way, but she likes it that way because it helps her with accuracy. I would feel completely exposed in a dry mix. I would push too hard to get that big sound that I want to hear, but that I can't do without a little bit of extra help. You may hear somebody say it's a muddy mix, and that means that everything is cloudy and blended together, usually too many lows or mids happening in the mix all at once. You can have a mix that's too bright. That means there are more high frequencies. You can have a harsh mix. Harsh mix has high frequencies that become kind of painful or they feel sharp. You can hear somebody say, I'm buried. That means that your vocal has disappeared in the mix. Remember what I said, you want to turn everything down, not turn yourself up. And here is a big one. Instead of saying only me, which we talked about before, try being more specific, saying things like, can I have a little more clarity? Can I have a little less reverb on my vocal? Can my vocal sit slightly above the band? Can I hear the lead vocal with a little more clarity? That kind of communication is going to help your sound engineer help you. Let's talk about the famous one ear out thing. A lot of singers do this because they feel disconnected from the room. I totally understand that. But personally, if you're one of my singers, I really encourage you to figure out why you feel like you need to remove one ear. Usually, there's something in your mix that just needs to be adjusted. Maybe the vocals are feeling too isolated, or the click is too loud. There's not enough of the room in your mix, and you feel disconnected. But instead of fighting your mix, try fixing your mix. I'm not a huge fan of the one ear out. If you're using clicks, sometimes if you remove one ear, your microphone is going to actually pick up that click track. And especially during quiet moments, that is not a distraction that we're looking for. Um, Honestly, though, sometimes if you have both of your ears in and your click is up too loud, your mic will actually pick that up too. So be careful with that. I was in a small church one time and the people in the front row could actually hear the click coming through the drummer's in-ear monitors, and they were both in his ears. And I cannot imagine how loud that was in his ears. In-ear monitors are supposed to protect your hearing, not blow them out. So again, like we talked about earlier, start by turning everything down. If you feel like you need to turn up your click track, turn everything else down first. At the end of the day, in-ear monitors are really great tools, and learning how you hear best is part of growing as a worship singer. Don't be embarrassed if it takes a little bit of time. Every experienced singer has gone through this same learning curve. But honestly, every single Sunday is still going to involve, can I have a little less piano? Can I have a little more lead vocal? Why do I suddenly hear only floor toms in my mix? That's live music. I really hope that this video helped you a little bit. Please feel free to leave me comments or questions. I will respond to you. And like and subscribe, share with your worship team if you found this helpful. There's a whole series of beginner to pro things on a playlist on this channel. So go back and see if there's anything else that you could learn from this series. See you next time.